Hello and welcome. What we're going to do this time is a new series which is on guests. We've got some special guests who share some amazing insights. They share valuable information that you can't get anywhere else and really let you know some nitty gritty about what's happening with their brand, some numbers, some data, some resources, what works for them, all the amazing things that these beautiful guests share. So that is coming up now. We've got a series all about guests. And just in case you missed it, I did a series last week and the week before all about wholesale and all about retail. And we're going to have some new episodes dropping in the next couple of weeks coming up as well. I would love it so much if you could let me know some special guests that you want to hear from, some special topics you want to hear about. What are some things that just give you some insights on how you can run your brand, how you can run your retail store, how you can grow your business, become more profitable, and allow you to run your business with ease. So let's get into the podcast right now.
Welcome to the Lotco Business Podcast, a show all about helping you as a retailer, brand, or creative understand the actual business side of running your business. I offer straightforward, practical advice about the nitty-gritty of making money from your creative passion. We will be covering bite-sized business and marketing lessons, as well as interviews with experts and trailblazers in the fashion, homewares, and design industries. My name is Melissa Robbins. I'm a business coach, colour-loving, non-coffee drinking Melburnian. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to today's podcast. I am super excited to have a special guest today. I have Carla Townsend, who is a money mindset and success coach who empowers purpose-driven female entrepreneurs to create a business and a life that they never want to escape from. Carla has a wealth of experience from empowering women to break free from money blocks and self-imposed limitations at all stages of their entrepreneurial journey, from startup to seasoned multi-six-figure entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for being here, Carla.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on, Mel.
So can you tell me a little bit about what you actually do? What is money mindset? And can you share what sort of things you work on with your clients?
Basically, my elevator pitch is that I help female entrepreneurs overcome their money blocks and monetize their genius online. So honestly, Mel, money has always been such a big theme in my life. And it's something that I've always been passionate about. But then eventually I realized, okay, money's a thing that people are really triggered by. And it's something that not a lot of people want to talk about, but everyone wants more of it. So I think I've always had this desire to be self-employed, be full-time in my business, to build something of my own, a legacy, all of it, right? And eventually I ended up here and I realized this is it. And there's something so different when you are an entrepreneur. And I think that's obviously why I work with entrepreneurs, because there's something so different around the mindset and what you're creating. And the thing is, there's no limits. And so I like to be able to get down into it and really, honestly, I'm a no bullshit person.
You're throwing it along.
I tell it like it is with a lot of heart, but I see so much potential in the women that I work with. I see so much potential in so many people that I just come across in my day to day. And I honestly think there's nothing better than being able to just mirror back to them and show them a path. Like, they have the potential, they have so much potential, but they just don't believe it yet. So essentially what I do at the end of the day is help my clients build that self-belief, eliminate the money blocks. And they're like layers, right? Because your money mindset is essentially your attitudes, your opinions, your behaviors around money. But it's also got to do with the way that you think and feel towards people who have more money or less money than what you do too. It's not just, okay, this is how I feel about money, because money's just a tool. It's just something that we have attached a meaning to, and we trade it for goods and services that we value. That's all money is. And back in the day when they didn't have money, they used rice and they used animals. It's a currency, but we attach so much meaning to it and so much self-worth to it. And that's where it gets really clouded and tricky. And it is a big thing in society to grow up and not talk about money, just talk about religion and all of that. But
yeah, absolutely.
I honestly feel you'd feel the same, Mel. When you're out here creating your own legacy, you really need to work on this. And I think everybody gets to this point where they realize, wow, my money mindset is actually pretty rubbish. No wonder I don't want to be able to charge this. I want to raise my prices. I want to charge this. I want to be the expert. I want to be the authority. I want to create this dream life. But They leave money on the table all the time. They never follow up. They never raise their prices. They always discount. There's so many behavioral patterns that play out. And that's when you realize it's your money mindset that's actually stopping you from getting to where it is you want to go. And it's so deep rooted.
Yes.
Often.
And that's the thing. I just noticed that so much with clients in terms of what you were saying. Like you can, for a lot of my clients work with product-based businesses. So they have a product and they've created this amazing product, but pricing is one of the elements that I work on first with every one of my clients, because it is one of those things that's going to make or break your business as well, if you've got a profit in your business or not. But yeah, everyone, or not everyone, so many clients are pricing for affordability. They want to be able to bring something to market so that other people can afford it. It's all that value is put on what's expensive or what's affordable. Like it obviously is different for everyone. And it comes back to, as you say, like how much you value yourself, how much you value your work that you put in. What the market says, obviously, is relevant information there, but it's about how can you feel comfortable putting the price that you've got on your products as well, or services, of course.
And it's subjective, right? Money's so subjective. And this is the thing. It's a big thing, obviously, with pricing. What do I price my products at? If I raise my prices, no one will buy. If I price it at this, I'll just price myself out. No, you won't. When you look at the really high-end brands, when you look at, say, the Gucci, the Chanel, all them, do they discount? Do they make themselves affordable? No. They know who it is they're speaking to.
That's right. And so it's obviously it's a big part of it. And I think, as I said to you, I just see it so much when I start working with clients. It's one of the first things I can see some limiting beliefs come up. I can see some attitudes towards money. So you touched on there before, and cut you off. And so what was the behaviors and things that you see often that people bring into their business or bring into their life that can have a huge impact?
Yeah. Okay. The behaviors are probably one of the first ones to spot. But unless you're aware of them too, if you're actually doing these behaviors, we've got to remember that majority of the time we're just running on autopilot. So these behaviors are not necessarily something that we're aware of. We just think that's just who we are. That's just how we are. That's just what I do. And that's the way it's always been. First off, if you want something to change, then you need to accept that change is necessary. And what you don't change, you're choosing. So if you continue to find yourself in these situations where maybe you are underpricing, maybe you're constantly discounting, maybe you're constantly giving out mates rates, but you don't even really want to. If it doesn't feel aligned, you're going to feel bitter about it, grumpy about it. There will be a frustration within you if something isn't working. And that shows you, first of all, something needs to change. So then you can start to notice, what are the patterns of behavior here? What am I doing? Have I ever raised my prices? I truly love what I'm actually putting out. It's not even about so much around the pricing piece as well. Sometimes people just feel really disconnected with their product or their service and they fall out of love with it. And then they don't put it out. And then they say, I really want to make this kind of money. I really want to create this kind of life. But they're not really in it. Their heart's not really in it. And maybe it's time to pivot and change. And again, that's okay. But I notice things coming up, like the discounting often happens. The validation, like looking for validation of what should I charge? There's honestly probably not a worse question you could ask when it comes to pricing, is asking someone who doesn't understand what you do, is not in a similar business, and they don't get it, to go, what would you pay for that?
Yeah,
it's so
the worst. Yeah. And the thing is, most of the time, the person you're asking is not your target market. They don't understand the necessary margins to run a business. They're just looking at it face value and maybe comparing to someone who has huge scale too, like looking at a bigger company who has a large volume of things, but obviously it's a different branding and all that sort of stuff that comes into that then as well, and exclusivity and unique selling point, all that sort of stuff. But as you say, like not asking the people who aren't in it and who are not your customer and don't necessarily share the values of your customer.
Yeah, that's it. And the values is the big thing, because if you actually want to see what you value, you look at your bank statement and see where you've spent your money. That's what you value. That's a bit of a rude awakening for a lot of people too, because we can say that we value certain things. Like maybe it's we value our health, we value our time. So then we look through and we expect to see things like, okay, you're paying for more convenience in this area because, I don't know, like me, I hate cooking, right? I can't stand cooking. So there's certain things that I'll pay more money for because it's just something I just don't like. I don't want to spend my time there. But when you start to realize, oh, I'm over here saying I value health, and here I am, and I'm spending so much money on things that are not improving my health, that's a big key sign. Like your spending is out of alignment, and this is why you feel like you never have enough and you can never get ahead, or because you're actually not even aware of how you're spending your money. Look, overspending and emotional spending is a huge thing too. So it's okay to say from an entrepreneurial sense, we have blocks around pricing and charging and putting ourselves out there, and we fear success and we're constantly trying to get validation. And then we refuse to receive the money, or we refuse to receive the abundance that's coming in different ways. But there's also, on the flip side, everyone can experience this where there's just these patterns of emotional spending. We are emotional beings. We often spend because there's an emotion attached to it. There is a need, there is a desire, and we get that when we're trying to market, right? You're on the other side. Even that, if you want to start to realize what are my habits and what are my patterns, specifically when it comes to money, have a look at where you're spending it. Now, most people cringe when you say, now I don't like the word budget, I say money plan. Same. It's the same thing, just however you want to look at it, okay? But a lot of people refuse to have one. Now, they are a necessity. If you are running a business and you don't know what's coming in and what's going out and where you're spending your money and what your expenses are, you have no idea whether you're running a business or just a really expensive hobby. So that's a big thing.
And even just that percentage of spending to how much you spend on your marketing, how much you spend on your staffing, how much you spend on your location, whatever it might be, really understanding the percentages of those numbers. And then it helps you figure out like either whether you're spending in obviously too much in one area. Knowing your numbers means that you can plan for that future. You can plan for what you're going to spend your money on or what you're going to save or what you're going to do. But also knowing that certain spending is going to give you a return on investment. So that's a big factor as well, because you've got, and I guess that's where you hear coaches and you hear people talk about, well, you're going to spend money to make money and that sort of thing too, which I truly believe you have to invest to progress further. And I guess that's where, as you say, what do you value? Do you value time by hiring someone to work with or buying a course and you're getting knowledge of someone else to fast track your progress? Because of course you don't need to do it. You can probably search that information, but it might take you years to actually get further ahead than actually just spending the money. So yeah, it really comes out when you're at that point of people making decisions. It's like, do they value their time or their money? Which one do they want or need more as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the beginning too, especially for the startups, it is so scary to invest in yourself. It is so scary to do it. And again, that's where it needs to actually feel good. So people need to understand, what do you value? What do you really value? And I know that a lot of startups too, and I definitely suffered from it too at the beginning, was like shiny object syndrome. Oh my God, this is the thing. That's the thing. We'll just get all the things. And then next minute you're like, you're wrong. And that's okay. But I think it's really good before we go and do that, we need to understand first off, what are our own behaviors? What do we actually want? And what is going to support you in getting there and building what it is? You need to start to look at the things that are stopping you, and you are stopping you. And it doesn't matter what stage of the journey you're at. Again, from working with startups to working with very established entrepreneurs that are making incredible money, what people dream of. It is still patterns of behavior, patterns of thought and beliefs that come up. And essentially your beliefs are just a pattern of thought. They're just repetitive thoughts that continually go around like this self-perpetuating cycle. So I don't think it matters where you are at in business or how much of experience you've had. I literally said that to one of the ladies I had a discovery call with last week. I said, to me, it doesn't matter to me what kind of money you're earning and how much experience you've had in business, because we all know that just because someone has had more experience or earns more money doesn't mean anything about how they actually take action and move and get the results. It means nothing. Absolutely. It's your dedication. It's your commitment. It's the woman that you're becoming. That's what is important. Your commitment to become the woman that you dreamed of. And then you'll do what you need to do to be able to get there. But I always think that everyone needs to start with looking at, what is it that I want? Quickest way to find out what you want, because often I know for a lot of people, another block is, I don't know what I want. I don't know how much money I want. I don't know what sort of business I even want to start. Write down the things that you don't want. In the next 5 to 10 years, what don't you want? The opposite of that is what you do. So then you can start to notice, where are you stopping you? Where are you triggered? What beliefs are always there, especially around money and success, because they honestly go hand in hand. Like the level of success that someone believes they're capable of, worthy of achieving, it's directly correlated to how much money that they truly believe that they can create and receive. Because that's just societal conditioning.
What are some self-imposed limitations that women put on themselves? What have you noticed? What do you see come up again and again?
Do you know what? One of the most interesting ones, I know I think I probably already mentioned a few, like the validation, the fear of success, refusing to receive, discounting their prices, not raising their prices, not selling, not talking about their offers. That's a big one. But one that comes up, which is a really sneaky one, is not wanting to out-earn your family. That comes up a lot. So I see women get to this point, and it is the people that you surround yourself with are so important. And you are going to trigger people. That's just a part of the journey. You're going to trigger people. The more that you earn, the more success you have, the more that you will become a trigger. So we need to be able to be aware of who are the most important people in your life that you've grown up with, that you love and adore. And often it is your parents, right? It's usually the parents one that comes up the most, the parents or your partner. And the fears around, how will they treat me if I earn more than them? Because it's often not the fear of failure that people are scared of. I think in entrepreneurship, we understand that failure is a part of the journey, and you can never truly fail unless you quit. And when you quit, okay, you'll probably try something else. You can't ever fail, like in life. But to succeed, and to succeed far beyond what you've actually witnessed or what you are familiar with, that is scary. That is unfamiliar. And that is unknown. And you do not know how people are going to treat you when you become unfamiliar to them. And there's going to be growth pains for you, but there's going to be growth pains for the people around you that love you. They want to keep you safe. That it's not that they want to see you stay small and not get too successful. They don't know what too successful is or what that means and what comes with. They don't want to lose the person that they know. So often entrepreneurs will hold themselves back from becoming unfamiliar to their loved ones. That's one of the biggest, sneakiest ones that comes up.
Okay. And so what sort of self-sabotage behaviours are things that people are doing that sort of reflects that as well?
So often you'll notice it in women that they'll earn the same kind of money. No matter what they do, they're earning the same sort of money. There is a limitation there. There's an income ceiling. And for some reason, they just can't go beyond that. Typically, again, it may come up in behaviors. It will come up in beliefs for sure. But usually the behaviors are the quickest ones to spot. It's not putting out offers out there. It's not expanding. It's not growing. It's not being around people that are going to empower you and support you and expand you to get to the next level. You'll just stay around the people that are doing the same thing as you. And that's because your mind wants to keep you safe. And so you will notice that if you feel like you're not progressing, it's probably because you are complacent. And that, again, is one of the biggest blocks to getting the success that we want, is complacency. Complacency is the killer of all ambition. And it doesn't matter what level you are at, but you will notice yourself to become complacent, and you will do things that will keep you there. And that is because you don't want to be unfamiliar. You don't want to be one that no one can relate to. Or you don't want your things in your life to change. The relationships that you have with the loved ones in your life, you don't want them to change. So you'll stay complacent. And it will come up in sneaky ways. You will start spending more money. All of it. They're all very linked. And you know what? It's often not to do directly with money. It's often to do with fear from other people. But I always think there's two kinds of fear. And the more that we can realize this, the more that we can actually embrace the things that do scare us. Because fear essentially is in two parts. There's the fear of there's a cliff, and if you jump off that cliff, you'll probably die. That's okay, I probably won't go there. But then there's the fear of this is going to feel like a roller coaster. I'm going to be terrified, but it's going to be great at the end of it. The difference. You've just got to be able to discern the difference in the two. And building resilience is all about facing your fears and doing it anyway when you know you're supposed to, no matter what consequences or repercussions there may be. Like, we have to think, what's the worst thing that could happen? But then what's the best thing? And do you have control?
Yeah. I love doing it as an exercise with clients as well. It's like, what's your worst fear and what if it did come true? What are the things that you would have to do, or what would that mean for your life or your family or whatever it might be? And then what's the best that can happen? I think I've got that as one of my little postcards as well. What's the best that could happen? Why not view it that way as well? And why limit yourself to only the worst case scenario? And I think that's where people are scared of failure, as you say, scared of letting people down, scared of not having that personal success that you can do it. And I think it's a big thing for women as well, because I don't know, often people step into their own business after parenthood as well. Like, they might not want to go back to a corporate career. And then they're like, well, how can I do this? Is it possible? And they might not even have anyone that role models that they've grown up with either as well. Like, my personal family history is always been surrounded by entrepreneur and business. Like, it's just definitely something that I've always seen, good and bad, definitely not always gone well, but you can see things that have happened. But I've seen that sort of risk-taking behavior as well. Whereas my partner, his family are very risk averse and would never, not in that entrepreneurial spirit as much. So it's definitely not everyone has that something to view.
Depends on what you're familiar with, isn't it? But at the end of the day, I think you never want to get to the point in your life where you ask yourself, what could have been? What if I had have actually tried? What if none of those worst case scenarios ever came true? What if it was the best? You'll never know if you don't try. You'll never know.
Yeah.
So I'm a mum of 3, 6 and under. And when I relaunched my business to what it is today, people thought I was crazy. I thought I was crazy. There was my daughter was literally my youngest was 4 weeks old, and I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I went, yep, now's the time.
Yeah, it's
Like a psychopath. Oh, like a psychopath. I got 3 kids under 4, let's do it. But I've never looked back. And I think, again, it's just however you choose to perceive it. Often we can look at our kids like they're excuses, they're reasons that we don't have time. I've got to wait till they get a bit bigger, I'll wait till they're all in school. Or we can look at it like they're the reason that I should be doing it. They're the reason that I want to be able to rewrite this story, and I want them to be able to see a different narrative play out. One that 100%. Isn't so risk adverse, one that is about following your light. And honestly, there is nothing better. I know people will hear my daughter, but my eldest, who's 6, she goes, I love money. I'm like, yeah, you do. We love money. That is, some people will hear her say that and think, oh my God, because they've got their own money mindset work to go with. But I say to her all the time, you can create your own wealth. You can create your own money. You can create your own life. But at the end of the day, we just want you to be safe and happy. That's it. And you do whatever you need to do.
My daughter's 18 and she's about to go overseas and travel. And so I was having the conversation with her and her friend the other day about money mindset, what it meant, what it is. And it was actually quite hard to explain to them in a way that, because I have, as you said, I've only done my money mindset, a lot of money mindset work in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, and really worked hard on it. And so the language I have used to that time has changed with my kids as well. And I'm hoping that I am passing on less limiting beliefs that I had probably before, or language things that would have been used previously. But yeah, trying to get her to understand it, it's quite fascinating. What would you say are things to work on to actually start really cultivating a healthy money mindset?
Yes, whether it be with yourself or whether it be with your kids, it's something that I think that once you're working on it yourself, you're just going to rub off on people around you. But I think start to listen to the limiting words that you are using. Start to listen to the labels that you are using. The I am statements. I couldn't tell you the amount of times I have heard, I'm just not good with money. I'll never have money. I'll never be rich. I just wasn't born with the silver spoon. Let's think about all those things that we probably heard growing up, and then let's notice when they're coming out of our mouth. Because at the end of the day, you are listening. You are always listening, whether it is a thought or whether it is a physical word that is coming out of your mouth, you are listening. And that impacts everything. So they are some of the really big things that we do, definitely, and we do it with the kids even, to say, you never say the word I can't, the phrase I can't. That just doesn't exist in our family. Then the kids aren't to say it.
Yeah.
It's things like, I don't know how yet. Or always just start to reframe the things that are coming out that aren't so great. If you are complaining, now a big one at the moment, obviously, cost of living. If you catch yourself complaining about things like the price of grapes, the price of fuel, just the cost of living in general, when we're complaining about things like that, why would the universe want to give us more? If we're complaining about how much money we're earning, why would the universe want to give us more? If we need to really, it's that old saying, but it's going back into gratitude and seeing how can you just be grateful for the things?
Is that the best flip to do?
Yeah, I think so. If you can't quite wrap your head around something or something is really frustrating you, like that's okay, right? But let's say, for instance, when it comes to bills is a big one. When you get a bill, instead of going, oh my God, that's so expensive, catch it when you say that things are so expensive, because you are instantly putting yourself in the bucket of people who'll never be able to afford that and make that not feel expensive. Like you are actually doing that subconsciously. Again, you're listening to your words, to your thoughts, you are listening. And it will continue to provide you evidence for the fact that, yes, you are bad with money. Yes, you'll never be rich because look at your poor spending habits. You'll always overspend. You know what I mean? Like you're listening. Your mind is very smart. So one of the exercises that I did many years ago when I first ever launched was, I want you to start reframing even when bills come in. So when a bill's come in and you are normally just, oh my God, that's so much. What am I going to do about this? How am I going to pay that? Instead of going in that spiral, look at the bill and just say, thank you. Now I can keep my family warm during winter. Now I can pay for this home that we're living in. Like when you look around you, what doesn't cost money?
Yeah.
Is it a bad thing? No. Money isn't good or bad. It's neutral. We need to be able to bring neutrality to money to have a good relationship with it. Just to take it off the pedestal. It doesn't need to be on the pedestal. Bring neutrality and bring gratitude to it always. When you start to do this, it just becomes second nature. And you will naturally not freak out when you open your account. Freak out when you get a bill. Freak out when the cost of things do go up. You're like, it's okay. Especially being an entrepreneur, you can make as much money as you want to make.
Yeah,
so challenge yourself.
Yeah, there's no limits. And that's part of obviously one of the reasons people are entrepreneurs is they want to have an impact. I think that thing you said at the start, I just want to help more women, because I generally work with women, more women have that no limits to what they're doing and what they can achieve, and give them the confidence to know that it's possible and to show that it's possible. Because, and I think that's a benefit of us also working with lots of different clients. You get to see what's possible. You get to see inside other people's businesses. And it is possible for anyone, no matter where they're coming from, to achieve big things. It's just, some things you've got to work on, but there's definitely limitless possibility. Hello, lovely. If you're looking for a way to grow your product business without relying on Facebook ads or posting daily on social media, then I invite you to register for my free masterclass. This is happening very soon, and inside of this masterclass, I'm sharing the strategy behind building a profitable product-based business so you can attract consistent customers and scale to six figures and beyond. I also emphasize how to create a sustainable long-term business, which is such an important factor for me. I'm so excited to be teaching this masterclass soon, so make sure you go and register for your free spot by heading to the link in the show notes below.
Oh, there absolutely is. And I think too, though, Mel, that just shows that you've been around people that expand you. So you've been very careful as well around your environment and who you're discussing your big dreams and your big visions with, and who you're trying to soak up that energy around, because naturally you will just gravitate to those people. developing yourself just becomes a little bit of a obsession. Like you can't stop. Oh, I wonder what I could actually make. I wonder what confidence I could build. I think it just becomes something that you keep going, and it doesn't matter where you're at in business. I know lack of confidence is one of the biggest things for majority of women in business, especially when you're starting out. You got to build that confidence, but building confidence takes unconfident action. I remember 9 years ago, Mel, I couldn't even do a speech at my own wedding to say thank you. I know, right? And here I am. I got my own podcast. I do all these things. I'm going to be on a stage speaking in a few months' time. And 9 years ago, I couldn't even do it to my loved ones at my wedding.
Yeah.
So confidence takes unconfident action. You don't wake up and be born confident. It's not just something you snap your fingers and you do it.
I was a very quiet child and teenager, which some people cannot believe now. Same thing. You start talking on video and you're so nervous, your voice is breaking, but it's just taking those actions. And yeah, I think it's such a huge part of. So yeah, lifelong learning, that's a big part of it, really stepping out. And I think, as you said there, surrounding yourself with people who have reached those next goals or have no limits to what they're achieving. So really surround yourself with those people as well to see what's possible. One thing I just thought of what I was going to mention there is, so I read something, or maybe I just been in the room of what these people say, but if you keep seeing certain income goals or people achieving certain things, it's almost the universe showing you that it is possible. And for that to not trigger you, but to give you that sign that, hey, this is showing you that it is possible. This is showing you this for a reason. So let that be a goal and motivation as opposed to a trigger that, oh, what are they doing that I'm not doing, or why have they got that and I don't?
Yeah. And look, that's a block. Whenever you are triggered and you feel jealous or judgmental, the reason you feel jealous or judgmental or dissing someone's success is because you actually want that. It's highlighting the shadow sides of you that you've repressed. That in itself is such a game changer. Just get that. I used to be the most insecure person, so insecure and so judgmental because I was so insecure. And then I realized, oh my God, it's because I'm insecure. I need to look at me. This is why I need to explore my shadows. That's not easy. That is not easy. But it is such a, I know I say a game changer, but honestly, it changes your whole life when you realize, oh, this is something that I actually want. Like this woman or whatever it might be. Let's just say it's a female entrepreneur and you're triggered by another female entrepreneur. Maybe it's because she's making a certain amount of money. Maybe it's because she's very confident in her sexuality and it triggers you. If it triggers you, it's because it's showing you it's a part of your shadow. You actually want to express more of that in you, but you feel like you'll be judged. You're holding yourself back from doing it. So you being triggered by something means it's actually important to you, which sounds funny. And when you're triggered, I know some people are going to be listening to this going, no, it's not. I don't want that. I don't want to wear those clothes or have that level of, you know what I mean? If you're triggered, a part of you wants what she's got or what she's having. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. And so that awareness is such a huge part of this journey, really, isn't it? So starting to notice the language you use, trying to pick up on when you say, so what did you say at the start? You said that I can't or I am.
The I am statements. Yep. I am not good with money. I'll never be rich. You notice the labeling statements. What do you always say? I'm not or I am. What are they? Because there even could be like, I'm not confident. I could never go on camera. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can do anything. That's actually what we make our kids say. If they ever say, I can't, we're like, you can do anything. And they will say, I can do anything. It's like that movie Madeline. She always says, I can do anything. I'm like, yes, you can.
Love it. It's such a good thing too. And that's the thing, it's next generation too, like really trying to set yourself, be aware of the language you use and what you're passing on, because we all come with these limiting beliefs. We all come with these stories. We all come with history. And I was talking to my sister the other day and we were talking about how she's 2 years older than me, but it was like what her experience within 2 years of the family was quite different, like at certain stages of our family financial situation. So it's, wow, that was fascinating that she had that experience, but I had no memory of it because I was a bit younger. So all of these things, like it can be the same family and you can have such different stories.
You absolutely can. Everybody has their own baggage. Like you said, everyone has their own beliefs, their own story, their own generational trauma that is just flowing on. And two people can be in the exact same house and have different experiences, totally different experiences. At the end of the day, it's your perception of the experience, not the actual thing that happened. I heard this analogy one day, and it was around this lady who, she was walking down the street, she tripped over, and she was absolutely miserable. Tripped over, thought someone saw her, was just miserable, let that get her down all day. And then there was another lady who did the same thing, tripped in the same hole, got up, laughed it off. She just laughed it off and went on and didn't affect her day. You always get a choice. That's where this story was going. You always have a choice. You can either let it destroy you, hold you back, make you grumpy, wreck your day, or you can go, okay, that wasn't that bad. Brush it off. Let's keep moving. Let's keep going. Build that resilience. Have a laugh. Your perception on the experience is always what counts. And the more that you build an abundant mindset, your perception of things that happen, they're not going to be that bad. Or you're going to realize, oh, it's not that bad. Maybe you have a low month in business. Maybe a client doesn't sign on. You're like, it's like that. It's fine.
Maybe it's making space for something else that's cool.
Because you can always get back up. There is always a reason. I am a big believer that I think everything happens for a reason. And often we don't know that silver lining. Sometimes years down the track, that could be a really shitty situation. But then years later, you're like, oh, thank God that did happen.
Yeah. I'm going to share a link as well to a little meme. I don't know what it's even called. Fable. It's called a fable. That's what it is. A little fable. And it's essentially my husband shares this with our kids and in his work. So it's all about good luck, bad luck. We'll see. How you perceive something is such a huge impact. And someone I was working with the other day, what you could perceive as bad happened. And it was like, oh, yes, love that learning that's taken place, because he was like, oh, good luck, bad luck, we'll see. And it was just one of those things that you're like, okay, it's actually taking place. And you never know why something's happened that actually could lead to something else down the track that could be good or could be meant for you more. So yeah, absolutely. Your perception is so important.
Yeah. And I think my husband shared a reel that had that exact thing. Good luck, bad luck, we'll see. Like last week or the week before, because you're always sharing reels with me, like inspirational reels. But it's so true. And we can talk about that too, right? Is someone really lucky? Or is it just luck that's created? You know what I mean? Is it just purely your perception on if it's lucky or if it's unlucky? There was a time when my house burnt down and it was like, that's a bit of shitty luck. At the time, you could perceive it as bad luck. But going forward, it was a good thing. It was a good thing that happened. Retrospect is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's based on your perception, and sometimes you just need events to unfold to then go, no, it's actually good that happened. It was good for my parents. They're in a better position now. We've all moved on anyway. It's okay. It probably would have happened at some point. But again, it's always your perception on what happens. And I choose to believe that I'm lucky. And you can choose to believe that you're lucky. Yeah. And you can always look at things like, I am lucky. And good things do happen to me. And, okay, maybe this is what I wouldn't have chosen, but we'll just see how it plays out. If you've ever read that book, The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer,
I haven't read it.
He talks about that because it's essentially just flowing with what happens. Instead of having your own personal preference, just let it be, and then you'll see what unfolds. So he just basically surrendered to life. And beautiful things kept unfolding. Sometimes things that weren't that great happened, but they always led to something that was far more powerful than he could ever have imagined. So that was really beautiful. And it goes with that. Good luck, bad luck, we'll see. And yeah, that book, The Surrender Experiment, was a really good one. I listened to that while I was painting my office. And I thought, oh, I needed that. I need to just surrender more. And I have. And I can definitely hands down say, yeah, it's a good one. Listen to that book. I listen to it. Listen or read it, but it's brilliant.
And we've touched on some of the things that people can do. What are the starting points? What do you think, or what do you start with your clients on the first of things to focus on? To really give people a little bit of action taking, what can people actually take away and do and start with?
Yeah, look, I think one of the first things that you have to do is first off, notice where you were triggered when it comes to money, when it comes to people who are wealthy, when it comes to people who have necessarily what it might be that you want. What frustrates you? What annoys you? Get to the bottom of those things, and then they will lead you to the gold. They will always lead you to the gold. Be aware of the labeling statements, like I said. If we can begin to become the observer of our thoughts, that will change the trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
Because until you have full awareness and real awareness of what is going on, document the repetitive thoughts that are constantly consuming your mind. Document the things that trigger the hell out of you. Maybe it's people, maybe it's situations. Like, what is frustrating you? Because it will continually happen until you stop it, until you bring awareness to it. Then you can choose to change it, because there is no change without awareness.
Yeah.
So that would be my first recommendation. Just start observing your thoughts and your behaviors and your triggers, because that will show you the light.
Okay.
Let's just say that.
And it's one of those things, I've got that in the start of my program, my roadmap program, because a lot of the people that I work with, I know after, especially in when you're having group calls and things like that, you really start to hear the language come up again and again, especially when it's in that group environment. And then also I sit with emails that people send to other people. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see the limiting beliefs in your message there. You're so like scared to put yourself out there. But yeah, it's such a powerful thing to be doing and really give you that confidence. And I guess that's where, as we both said, giving people the confidence to step into their next power or who they can become is beautiful.
Yeah. Just remembering who you are, essentially, at the end of the day. I think that's what it comes down to, like the essence of you. Who are you to your core without everything around you, without the success, without the money, without everything? Who are you? And the more that you can actually express that, the more that you can build a business that empowers you to fully express yourself, the more that you become the observer of what is holding you back from expressing yourself, the more free you feel. So I think at the end of the day, that's what everybody wants. They want to feel free. They want to feel at peace.
Yeah.
They want to know that they did everything that they could and they lived their life to the fullest.
Yes.
I think that often entrepreneurs, we all just hold that same overall life value. That's what we want out of life. We want a legacy because we want something to live on far beyond us. We want to be able to create something that we're proud of, but we also want to be proud of ourselves and we don't want to miss it.
And as you say, that legacy of the impact you've had on other people and how it's changed their lives.
That's it. I don't think anything else really comes close to that. I remember the first time years ago when one of my clients said, "You have changed my life." And I'm like, oh my God, it made me cry, because I think sometimes too, for entrepreneurs, you have to fully be able to see yourself before other people will see you. And if you're holding yourself back, whether it be through your beliefs, your thoughts, your actions, you're holding yourself back from fully expressing you, maybe because you are scared that what if you fully express you, people don't like what they see. But when you do start to step into that, you'll realize that you'll always find your people, whether it be products or services or whatever it might be that you are creating, the life you're creating, you will always be surrounded by your people.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to see you and all the beauty that is within you and all the wisdom that's within you, and just back it. Like, just back yourself and do it, because it will be the greatest thing that you ever do.
Yeah. And people want and respond to authenticity. There's no point trying to be someone else or trying to be someone different or like another entrepreneur or doing things like they are, because it's not going to feel right for you and it's going to cause frustrations. And by being true to yourself, it's going to allow you to live that, life that you're content with.
That's it. And at the same time, if anyone's listening now and they're going, I don't know who am I without being the mum, without being the wife, without being the boss? Who am I? Just start to find joy in your life and you will start to notice.
Yeah, I just wrote that in my caption for Instagram, like literally what brings you the most joy and focus on. It's quite unbelievable.
But it's so true, because I think often we also get so trapped in the hustle sometimes.
Yeah.
And I don't think hustle or hard work is a bad thing either. I definitely think there's a stage, especially when you're building. And hard's, again, subjective. What's hard work to you and hard work to someone else is very subjective, right? But you need to be able to find joy.
Yeah. And choosing your hard, I wrote that again, and that was my caption the other day too. Like, it was like, moving your hard is whether it's working 9 to 5 or commuting or not being able to go to freedom to go see your kids' things or take Friday off if you want to, whatever it might be. Or hard is maybe working on your own business or working different hours or longer hours at different stages, but then you've got freedom to make choices in other ways. Choosing your hard is a big thing too.
100%. I always feel like I had this conversation with my husband, Mick, the other day. I said, I don't feel like what I do is hard. I love it. Like, it lights me up. And he's, yeah, darling, but you work pretty hard. Because to him, he sees that you're a mum of 3 and you're constantly like running around after the kids, and then you're creating and you're doing this and you're doing that. I'm doing all these things.
Yeah.
So to him, to someone on the outside, that looks pretty hard. He goes, I feel like you work hard. And I said, oh, it's funny. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'm ready for it. Let's get into it and I'll do something I've never done and I find it challenging. So that I find hard. But I feel like you also get to the point where you become like a little bit obsessed with finding things that are hard for you to nail and get better at and pushing yourself and challenging yourself. But I think for the day-to-day side of things, I'm like, I enjoy it. So it doesn't feel like it's energy draining. It's actually energy giving hard.
And I think if you can find that, then you're onto a winner as well. Like I said to my husband about that same thing about work. Like he was talking to the kids about work. I don't really want to go to work either when they're complaining about going to school or whatever. And no one wants to go to work. I'm like, hang on, I do. I actually love work. I really love it. I can't wait to get started and do work on something new or help someone transform what they're doing. But don't have that belief either that work should only be hard and that it doesn't bring you joy. It should.
And that whole, oh God, it's Monday, can't wait for Friday. The Monday-itis or whatever sometimes people call it.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't feel that either. I'm like, yes, let's go. I'm up early. Sometimes I'm doing Sunday and I just get stuff done. Like when you love what you do, it is that old saying, like when you love what you do, it doesn't really feel like it's work because it's not the typical 9 to 5 gig. And it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what business you have or what career you have. If you don't love it and it doesn't give you energy, it's not really for you.
Probably not the right thing. Yeah. So finding that and seeking that. And I guess that's as well as feeling like that in the business. It's what can you pivot to? What can you change to? And I think that, again, as an entrepreneur, it's like you got to be always evolving and changing and finding what works and what doesn't, because you're never going to hit the perfect thing the first thing you try. This is probably the 4th business I've had in terms of I had a product business, I had a retail store, I worked for other people. Like I had a huge list when I wrote it out the other day of different jobs in your lifetime, but that's what it all leads to somewhere, right? So don't be afraid to pivot and change if you're not finding it enjoyable or it's not something that lights you up.
No, that's exactly right. Sometimes it's time to start again. Sometimes it's time to start afresh. Yeah. But I'd also be really aware of how often are you feeling like that.
Yes.
Because sometimes in the constant pivot and the constant change and the feeling disconnected, it's actually because you're sabotaging yourself from ever getting to that point. There is also a fine line between just not seeing something through.
Yes.
Not being able to follow through. And it doesn't mean you have to stay in the same thing forever. But if you're chopping and changing every 4 to 6 months and you want to burn it all down and start again, that's multiple times a year, that's definitely the block. That's a self-sabotage there, okay? That's a big red flag.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You just probably need to take some space to work it out, maybe get some guidance, get some support to go, what is going on here? Why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep feeling the need to burn it all down to the ground and start again? It's a red flag, but
a difference. I had my retail store for brand for 15 years and retail store for 9 years. So I was like, after that stage, I was like, okay, time for something new. I sold the businesses and moved to something different. And that's it.
That's different. A long time.
Yeah. And that's it. Sometimes success comes from being the last one standing almost as well. Like I used to have, because I had a children's wear brand, and what would happen is a lot of people, when they had kids, they would start their own children's wear brand, and we'd go through the stages. And as I said, 15 years we had it for. And you see a lot of people come and go. And some people asked, obviously, last year, I just had a friend who just sold her business who started the same time as we did. And so she's had it for 20 years. But it's about, like, sometimes you got to know that there's people going to come and go all the time, because not everyone can last and not everyone can see things through. So it is a fine line between all of those, balance between, making sure that you stay the course and don't give up too soon, and also knowing when to change and pivot and move on.
Yeah, there's a very big fine line between that. Again, that's where you just got to try and figure it out. And if you don't take any action, you're never going to know. So you may as well try and put one foot in the right direction and try it out. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But just be aware when you think 10 different things are for you and you're like, nope, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all going to lead you somewhere. Yeah. Again, like, everything happens for a reason. But when you're doing it because it feels good to you and you really enjoy it and you really love it, that's when it's going to work. When you are doing it, and I have said this before, when you are doing it for money, that's when it won't make the money that you desire. And like, money is purely a byproduct of living in alignment and having a business that is in alignment because you love it. It's filled with joy. You could do it every day. It's what you dream about. And if you're not at that point, then maybe it's not the right thing. Or if you're thinking about starting a business and you're going, I'm just going to start this business because this is really easy to make money and I want to make this amount of money, then your heart's not in it. And I truly believe that if your heart is in it, you are the one that's going to stay for the long game. When you are doing something purely for money, not that it never doesn't work, like, sometimes it does work straight away, but it's that longevity we're about. And I think that's a big difference between entrepreneurs who want to get rich quick or someone who wants to build a legacy. Because if you want to build a legacy, it's for the long term. So your heart needs to be in it. The clients will come. The success, the recognition, all of that's going to come, but your heart needs to be in it. And you'll know if it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. And so thank you so much for sharing so much, Carla. Honestly, I know we could go on for hours, which I say so often to guests, because like, how long could we talk for? Yeah. Where to find out more about you? And I did actually notice that you had a quiz on your website too, where people can find out a little bit more about their type of money archetype, I think it is as well, but we haven't even gone into that yet. But people can go onto the website and check that out. So where do they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me everywhere at Money Mindset Hub. So Instagram is mainly the main place that I hang out. So I'm just Money Mindset Hub. My website, moneymindset.hub.com. If you want to go do the free quiz, it is a free money archetype quiz, which is amazing. It's going to highlight your strengths, your challenges, your shadow sides of your archetype. It's basically your money personality. So if you want to know a bit more about your innate money personality, then you can just do that quiz, which again is on my website, moneymindset.hub.com/quiz. Super easy to find. But yeah, I have a podcast as well, Money Mindset Hub. Literally, that's me everywhere.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for your insights. I'm really excited to hear how people respond and what sort of things they become aware of after listening.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot's going to come up too. So yeah, I'd love to know as well. Please feel free to connect and let me know. Send me a DM. I'm definitely a voice noter. So I'd love to know. And I do notice when all the quizzes come through, there's people filling them out daily, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I always have a little bit of a look and see, oh, what's the trend here? I'm noticing there's lots of rulers, there's lots of mavericks. So yeah, it's very interesting. There is 8 different money archetypes, so you can learn more about them all on my website. But go do the quiz and yeah, you'll learn so much more about yourself. But thank you so much for having me. I've loved this. So yeah, thank you again. I've loved it.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to the Lotco Business Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you subscribe to receive future episodes as they are released. And I'd be so grateful for a review on Apple Podcast. If you would like a copy of the show notes or any of the links mentioned today, please jump onto my website at thelotco.com.au/podcast. Have an amazing week, and I look forward to chatting to you again soon.